Climate change remains the single greatest threat to the livelihood, security and well-being of the people of the Pacific. At COP24 last December, a film was launched at the Cornivia Pacific Pavilion by the Ambassador and Climate Change Special Advisor of the Government of New Zealand, Ambassador Stephanie Lee, with Fijian Minister Honorable Ines Ratu, the COP23 high-level climate champion of global climate action, and Minister for Defense and National Security, who introduced the director and the producer of the film.
Delighted to call on Victoria and Miriam to share with us their journey when developing this documentary. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, I am Amelia, the film producer here with Victoria, our director, and we are from Massey University, film students from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And we're here today to share with you our documentary film which we produced over the course of this year. We feel a great level of privilege being able to share with the Pacific story with you here today, and we're happy to share it through a youthful and cultural lens. We would like to acknowledge everyone's achievements and efforts made here at this event, and we would really like to contribute in our own way as filmmakers, and we do that so by the power of storytelling.
The documentary featured and drew strongly on the perspective of the Fijian people, particularly of those of the small island of Mbatiki with a population of around 300 people that was hit the hardest by Cyclone Winston in February 2017.
Climate change is a state of global crisis. There's a shared need for all of us to collectively provide leadership in terms of reducing our carbon emission. There's a shared responsibility on all countries to provide the leadership that we do need to be concerned about the most vulnerable in our global society. I remember when the tsunami hit Samoa, I think 2013, the elders said that we were being chastised by the mother of the oceans. If there's a hurricane that hits the Pacific, the elders also refer as the sisters are not happy with the people of the lands. And so there's that constant, intimate relationship in a spiritual sense with peoples and lands in the Pacific region. And there are no borders when we're talking about families.
The ocean connects everybody, so it's shared. From that perspective, we all equally should be treating the ocean like our own personal thing in terms of the care that you give to it. Whether it's in New Zealand or in Fiji, we should provide equal care to its use and be considerate of the other uses beyond your own boundaries.
Climate change is very threatening to human civilization as we know it because the impacts are already being felt, but they're going to be accelerating over the course of the coming decades. So it involves sea level rise, and you have to remember most humans live very close to the sea. Most of our cities are located by the sea. It includes increasing droughts, and we live in a world where our global population is increasing and our arable land is decreasing. Massive storm floods that you see in some parts of the world, and you're seeing an increase in the severity and in the frequency of our cyclones that happen in our kind of usual cyclone season, but there are kind of more of them happening, and they're much more severe than they have been historically.
Well, the problem is that humans have been releasing greenhouse gases into the atmosphere over the last 150 years or so, and the major one is carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide molecules that we do create when we burn the fossil fuels They live in the atmosphere and it lives there for hundreds, if not thousands of years. If you take an apple, then the skin of the apple is equivalent to the thickness of the atmosphere. And so what happens as these greenhouse gases build up, then the heat from the sun reflects off the planet's surface, and some of it goes back into space. Some of it is here to keep us on a warm temperature. But as the greenhouse gases increase, then they reduce the amount of heat that was reflected, and therefore the planet is warm.
Threats come in different forms. We have the very extreme events like cyclones, storm surges, floods, intense rainfall. These extreme events, we live through them every year, so it's a lifelong experience. But for communities that do not have access to, tools, information, and all that, it comes to them as a surprise, and they're often caught by surprise in terms of the impacts of those climate events.
The biggest ever cyclone to hit Fiji ploughed across the island nation.
At its centre, 220-kilometre hurricane-force winds and heavy rain.
To be a long road to recovery, and no part of Fiji has been left unscarred.
I wasn't really scared. As a pastor myself, I felt a responsibility on my shoulder to see that the whole village are looked after properly. On the 20th of February, at about 6 o'clock in the morning, Category 3, and then all of a sudden we went up to Category 4, Category 5. It was low tide, and all of a sudden it became high tide. And I told my wife that this is not a good sign. It picked up all of a sudden. We weren't ready for that. And then all of a sudden my wife screamed, said the kids they were getting waves in their house.
So I bring one big bucket. I put all the warm clothes inside and some raw food, the rice and the dal. Then I tried to go back to gym. When telling me if he could come and help me taking the kids to the highland.
Then we went up to that mango tree up the hill.
By that time, our children was very hungry. I was telling them, if you guys want to eat, there's no food right now. The only thing you can do is just drink water and wait for the cyclone to come down, then we can search some other places for us to go and cook some food for the family. About 2 o'clock we came down, I cooked the rice and the dal, and we called the children down, and he went to look for the other village's member. He saw them on the other side of the village. They was all alive in there. And we took them down. We came and shared those foods.
We had a small church service. I told the elders, say a prayer, a thanksgiving, that we are all alive. And early in the morning when we woke up, we saw the concrete was scattered all over the village from the houses. All the houses are gone. And we realized that how much we've lost.
Their islands are simply becoming uninhabitable, and that of course means that their cultures would be lost, their music, their languages, and it's a tragic situation. And that's why the SIDS in particular are really strongly pushing to keep the greenhouse gas temperature rising no more than 1.5 degrees. All of the carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere, much of it has actually been absorbed by the oceans, creating sea level rise, because not only as water gets warmer it expands, but also some of the ice on land in Greenland, Antarctic is melting. So slowly the sea levels are rising by about 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters a year. And the predictions are that by the end of this century it could be 60 centimeters, even more, of sea level rise, which is a major impact for coastal communities and such like.
Pacific Islands are very diverse. You have big islands with mountains like here in Fiji, but you have also low-lying atolls. So each country and each island will have different impact. The main impact that will affect everyone is the sea level rise. That will affect all the coastal infrastructure in the different countries, and in the low-lying atolls will also affect the water resources, so people will not have enough fresh water to drink because it will be contaminated by salted water.
Ona tina cikar na lubengo ona na lubengo. Nungu yada mai nangono yada mai kina lesu mai na secondary school ola kamai mamai cikam batiki lebsar na visau na nanti chico nangona lako daki chico mekina na nuku na bunika urate chico mata sawa oire na tosu sombu chico ngaya ni na sa tosu sombu chico ngaya na bunika we na levu ni nuku sa tosu daki chico ngaya mai na ua kota chico mai na levu ni nuku kota daki chico mai na bunika urate chico mata sawa sa tosu chico ngaya ni rai.
This is my village, Yabo village. I'm from this island. This is Batiki Island. I'm born in Batiki. I grew up in Batiki. I
start schooling in Batiki, then I go out for a secondary school in Sula. The rising of the sea level is very true. Before, the way we stand, we have to, the land was around there before. Yeah. When we was young, when I was a small boy, schooling here, there's a coconut tree down here. That is one. The next one is the fish, the Fijian style, the Fijian calendar. We have the fish in each month. We have to catch the fish here during this month. Nowadays, we cannot find. It is lost.
I wake up early in the morning at 5 a.m. I start with my family jobs. I'm a mother, and I do many works in the family and in the village. And this year is my 17th year on Batiki. When I came here, I used to go fishing, used to catch many big sizes of fish. In Batiki, we usually eat fish is the most.
Sea level rise, of course, with the rising sea temperatures. I think the chemical composition of coral reefs are changing. They are dying. The systems on which we depend for healthy fish stocks, and the majority of the Fijian population, not the majority, all the Fijian population is actually dependent on the inshore coastal track, which is a track between the offshore reefs and the coastal area. That's where we get all our food from.
Dona Batiki Vinaka, Dona Kanibibator Dakitaki, Baletirna Lubeki Mamira Lakuchukaningo. Auna Vinakata me levumana tauniuza, me tawa levuna tani, na woloka mesa rauta. Mesa kuni laktala mavi ke mami sa masu chiko valeu me kota la dangilamba kota la narakida.
I think developed countries have to cut back on their carbon emission to the level that's been requested by all the countries under the Paris Agreement. If they can do that, then I think all the effort we are putting into managing those impacts that we have control over will come to something. Otherwise, it will all come to naught.
Okay, what should we do to stop climate change? What should we do to stop climate change?
Plant more trees.
Plant more trees. Naka?
Stop pollution.
Stop pollution. Another one? Ibara?
Use solar instead of generator.
Use solar instead of generator. Naka? This is my second year in Batiki, and I'm teaching year 5 and 6. In school, we have to showcase to our parents what we understand about climate change, and they've been here doing speeches, oratory, and we have been showing them pictures about the effects of climate change and what we can do to stop climate change. Next week, we will bring you more from the COP24 meeting in Katowice, Poland, together with the handing over of the presidency to the government of Poland.